What's up, sluts? Thikuru here. So, let's talk about the fastest flip in the game. Musty made a video about using it in kickoffs. I made it a necessary mechanic to score shot number 30 in my training pack challenge. But what else is it useful for? I want to show you guys all the benefits of the speed flip and what you can use it for, and also how to practice and learn to do it yourself. So it's another Papa Linkuru teaching session. The speed flip. We're gonna use the speed flip in 3 different things today. Kickoffs, being a faster player, and recovery after shots. And lastly, we'll talk about how to practice this move, and I'll also show exactly what kind of controller inputs I do and how to perform the move with your fingers and hands. Let's start off with kickoffs because that is the most recent thing that's been discussed because of Musty especially. I think a lot of people have been trying this mechanic, but it seems that people are using the mechanic for kickoffs specifically. But I'll go over this very quickly because I didn't really want this video to be about the kickoffs. So when people use the speed flip for the kickoff, they generally tend to try to like hit the ball to the side like that. So they try to get to it as fast as possible and hit it to the side before the opponent even makes contact with it, so that you can get an easy goal. And that works great, but I actually personally haven't been doing it that way. Instead of completely trying to remove the 50-50 out of the play, I actually want to go for the 50-50, but I just want to dominantly win it by being way faster. Let's look at some replays, for example. I like to use this especially in 3v3s because I feel like people don't really pay that much attention to kickoffs. You can really take advantage of that lack of attention. That's the first example. So this is me doing a fast kickoff. Look at that boomer. Look at that absolute boomer banger. And then also look at the distance difference between us. Example number 2. So another fast kickoff from me. I'm way ahead of the opponent. I smash it to the side wall again. Somehow my team manages to concede from it though, because they both freaking double committed to that. They got way too eager, man. This guy isn't even close. Look at that. The thing is, it's like, you can totally counter that. It's just a matter of, are you paying enough attention? Do you realize that I'm doing that kickoff? So when you do a standard kickoff, I feel like most of the time the ball goes into these zones or these directions. When it comes to the speed flick kickoff, there's obviously the chance that it happens like this, but there's a much higher chance that the ball will boom like this, which gives you a really good offensive start from the kickoff. Alright, that's all for kickoffs. Now we'll talk about being faster on the field.
Being faster on the field.
The main mechanism that makes you faster is the fact that your car is essentially aimed forward the whole way through the flip. You know, in a normal flip you do a whole 360, you know, there's a point where your car is aiming down and then it's aiming backwards and then it's aiming forwards again. Speed flip, you're constantly aiming forward, so when I'm boosting through this whole thing, I'm just boosting forward, I'm giving myself more speed. This mechanic is not to be confused with the standard fast flip or fast kickoff that people know. That is the standard fast kickoff, actually. Right? Yeah, because he's aiming to the right, so yeah, that's the standard fast kickoff. But as you can see, I'm still faster to it. Typical fast flip, you kind of aim to the left a little bit, rather than just being straight the whole time. An interesting fact that I noticed just yesterday is that you only need to pick up one 12 boost pad, and then boost and go over another, and you already get supersonic. So you actually need very little boost to perform this move. If I pick this up and then start boosting here, I'm already supersonic. If I'm doing just a normal flip in the kickoff, I'm not getting supersonic. It's just not happening. When it comes to being fast on the field, well, it's pretty simple. If you're at any point low on boost, or you just need a really quick start, if you need to reach a ball that's kind of far away from you, just do this, boom. Say I'm coming to defense here and then I'm trying to pre-flip to this ball. In my latest training pack video, you can see I was doing a lot of training drills where you actually had to get to the ball really fast to make a save or to make some sort of a shot. So yeah, it makes you very fast. So we can be talking about, you know, recovery, going back to defense, or if you need to attack the ball, or you're going for a 50-50 against an opponent and you need to make sure that you're there before the opponent. I also like to use it for picking up pads sometimes. I'll just like do this and grab some pads along the way. It's really beneficial to you. You could use it to get off the wall, for example. Obviously, there's many things that contribute to making someone a fast player in Rocket League, but this is just one thing that can help you. Now, the third and final thing I wanted to talk about is... I'm not sure what to call it. I guess you could say that it's sort of recovery. So, you know how when you're doing a normal shot on the ball, it's kind of awkward because you have to flip around. You have to do this whole 360, as I mentioned earlier. And the problem with that is it takes you out of the play for as long as the flip lasts for. We can actually cancel this completely. Just get it out of here. This happens a lot when I'm doing wall shots, for example, but when I use this specific flip to my advantage, I can keep moving towards the ball. I can have my car aiming towards the ball the whole way through of it. This means I can keep boosting and reaching towards the ball. If I do this, I can't really use boost to my advantage for half of that flip, but in this kind of shot, I can. I can even go for a double tap like that. Unfortunately, I missed. Like a big fat bungus. So there was one thing I was questioning. I was curious if pro players do this. So I went in and looked at some footage, and here's Squishy doing it, for example. So here you can see, to me that looks like the speed flip, right? You can also see it here, which I think is really interesting. So he goes for a shot and flips immediately after, but as you can see, his car is not doing the 360 flip, it's just doing this. He's constantly aiming the front of his car forward. So, and I think he did it here again. It's not something that's super secret or nobody knows about. I think that it's just not talked about a lot. I kind of just naturally learned the mechanic after 3,000 hours of playing the game. You know, it never actually crossed my mind to try that on purpose. I think it just kind of happened. Of course, every difficult mechanic has its downsides. Anyone with functional eyes can see that this is way more tricky to do than a normal flip. There's always a higher chance of messing it up and fumbling about like a big bungus. I feel like I'm not completely comfortable with the mechanic yet. I still need a lot of practice with it. Even now, I've been practicing it a lot, and I can do it very consistently. When it comes to the kickoff, it's a little more tricky because, you know, obviously in a kickoff, the angle is very important. Also, picking up the pads along the way while you're doing it is very important. Or if you're trying to recover back to defense and you try that flip and then suddenly you're fumbling about. So if you're trying to practice this, I really recommend starting off with free play. If you want to do the kickoffs, just keep resetting over and over and doing the kickoff, boom, boom, boom. And if you actually want to try it against players, I recommend going 1v1s, either casual or ranked, whichever. And the attitude you go into that with should be pretty much, I don't care what happens, I don't care about winning. Throw away your whole ego. Don't care about the outcome of the match. That's not important. Just focus on what you're learning. Focus on yourself, because that's the only thing you can influence and affect. Okay. Let me just explain the flip thoroughly from beginning to end, everything you need to do. We got Musty's training pack for this. First off, the first jump can actually be much earlier than you would do with a normal kickoff. Because a normal kickoff, you'd wait a little bit and then flip, right? If you want to be as fast as possible, take advantage of the fact that you can do it very early. Here's an example. This one is actually really difficult to hit. Even if I do the fast flip, I won't reach this ball if I jump too late. So this is examples of me doing it way too late. If I jump earlier instead, like this, I'll get to the ball. So you get a speed advantage for just jumping a little bit earlier than you would with a normal flip. I always do this little slide to the left before I do the flip, because otherwise you kind of just go to the side, you kind of, you know, just steer off to the goddamn abyss, so you don't really want that. What comes after that is the actual mechanic of canceling the flip, which is the hard part. I essentially just immediately after diagonal jumping, I immediately pull back to bottom right. I saw Musty do this a little bit different actually. It seems that he goes the opposite direction on the stick and then goes back to the other side. which is interesting. I'm not sure if one of these methods is better. I never turn my stick to the opposite side. I kind of just keep on the right side. But yeah, I mean, just try either way. Maybe you'll find his method more comfortable to you. Maybe you'll find mine better. It doesn't really matter. When it comes to the landing, I'd say it's kind of an important part of this as well. So this is something that you kind of have to figure out on your own, I think. When I'm landing, I am usually slightly just tweaking the stick, just slightly altering from where it is. I kind of wiggle it around to find the right landing. It really depends on every individual shot, because every time you do this, it's a little bit different. It's not going to be 100% consistent with the way you land and the way you flip and everything. It's always going to be slightly different, so you have to adjust to the shot. I don't know how to explain this any better than that. And that's it. Thank you, poops. Like and subscribe. Linkaroo, done.
Coming in, yeah, flex, I just wanna win, yeah, LABB who we running with, yeah, 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah, state your name, big dope on flame.